Hello, everybody. Welcome to Managing Your Pain with CBD. Thank you guys for coming. I know you could be in a lot of different places doing things, and so I just want to welcome you. Can everybody hear me okay? Can anybody chat? Can you guys see? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys. Welcome. David, Madison, Wisconsin. Wow, David, I am from Appleton, Wisconsin. Wow, what a small world. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. Thank you. Hello. Nice. Hi, everybody. Hello, Jim. Hi, everybody. So, welcome. This is my first webinar. I've not done something like this in this capacity in nearly 20 years. I used to teach marketing, and I used to do a lot of on stage in front of people stuff. And this is a little different, being online and not being able to touch and connect with people and touch people anymore. So I appreciate your time and for coming to learn what I have to share about CBD. So I have also on the line Carly. I don't know if she can hear me. Carly, can you hear me? Let's see, Carly is muted. Okay, let's see. Did I lose her? Okay, I lost her. Well, I have also online Carly, who is a person who suffers from CRPS, which is a very high form, a high pain illness that afflicts some people that just is on levels that are unbelievable. And I want her to be able to share her story. Okay, it looks like she's trying to get back on. I want her to share her story and how she uses CBD to be able to help bring her pain levels down, because that's what I learned for me. And so, okay, so it looks like she made it back on. Carly, are you there?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
So I was introducing you while you were getting back online. So I just told them a little bit about you, that you're going to be telling them about yourself, about what you've dealt with and dealing with CRPS. So that's Carly, everybody.
Hi, thank you guys.
So first, let me say this. Let me make a little disclaimer here. I'm not diagnosing anybody's medical condition. I'm not here to give you medical advice. I am not a doctor. A doctor is somebody who has spent thousands of dollars and thousands of hours sitting at the feet of the masters before them, learning how to heal the human body. I'm a person who's dealt with chronic pain all my life, and I don't have time to go through 10 or 15 years of medical school to learn how to deal with my pain. But I am autodidactic. I get into the grid of things, and I pick it up and I learn it for myself, and I do it for myself. And that's what I did with CBD. So I'm here to share what I learned about using CBD to treat my pain. And it's only been 3, 4, or 5 years, and I'm 56, and I've had a whole lot of years and a whole lot of problems with pain. And when I found CBD, it made a big difference in my life. Now, let me share one important thing with you guys. If you or somebody that you know wants to use CBD, maybe they're elderly, maybe they're on blood thinners, maybe they're on heart medication, do not start any medical or any CBD regimen if you are on prescribed medication, because many medications are very toxic, and the body needs the liver to process those things out after it's done what it's been sent in to do. CBD is a boss. CBD walks in and it takes charge of that liver, and it says, dude, you ain't coming in here. You man-made. And, you know, that can get you sick. So if you want to try CBD and you're on prescribed medications, before anything, talk to your doctor, share the information with him, and let him know what you want to do. Now, in those cases, you might not be ingesting CBD, but that does not prevent you from using topicals. But we'll talk about that another time. So I just want you guys to make sure that anybody that you know who is on medications, make sure they do their due diligence first and then move on with a course of action to fight pain. So who am I? I'm David Anthony Schroeder. After 4 years of being in the ditches of trying to figure out CBD and trying to figure out all the ways that it actually really works for me, I started finding all of these things I started putting together, and I ended up putting together a book. And it's called 7 Ways to Manage Pain with CBD. And so I'm going to take that information and start passing that on to people so that they can find healing, so that they can reduce their pain levels. And here's the thing, CBD is not a cure-all. If you're here for Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or headaches or any of those things, this is not the forum. I don't suffer from those conditions. I have not tried to battle those conditions, so I cannot give you that information. But being autodidactic, everything I touch when it comes to what I learn, I suck up like a vacuum. And then I retain it because I have no choice, because I have to reuse that information over and over and over again. Now, my problem is, like right now, right before we started, I suffer from allergies. I don't take anything for them because I don't want to ingest that stuff. I'm the same way when it comes to pain. I don't want to ingest that stuff. I don't want to take opioids. Now, in my youth, yeah, I enjoyed being stupid. But then as I got older and understood what these things do, I don't take them, like NSAIDs, Tylenols and aspirins and all these things. I don't want to take them. I don't like what they do to me. And so when I have a problem with pain, that leaves me with very few options. And I've got to figure that out for myself, because the doctors are like, hey, you're on your own. So when Katrina hit, the media called that a catastrophic event. When 2008 happened and the mortgage crisis happened, the media called that an economic event. I have what I call pain events. A pain event is where, for instance, I left Los Angeles in August of last year and I drove to Texas. Day 1, got here in about 11 hours. Day 2, the second day of that journey, 17 hours. I arrived about midnight and I was stretching along the way, but I did that trek in 2 days. When I got up in the morning, I was okay. I was stiff. I was feeling the aches and pains, especially from all the abuse I gave myself packing and preparing. The very next day, in the middle of the night while I was sleeping, it was like somebody walked up to me with a quadruple size of my body sledgehammer and whacked me with it. And I'm literally there now, immobile, from neck to hip and down my right thigh to my knee. And there's not a dang thing I can do about it. And unfortunately, life doesn't give me vacations. Life doesn't give me vacations from pain. There is no respite from, can I just have a couple moments off? It's there until it's dealt with and healed and you've moved on. So for me, when I have a pain event, they last me a while. A lot of times they'll last me 3 or 4. Now that one from driving from LA to here, that lasted me about 3.5 weeks. Now, if I was not using CBD, that event would have lasted me 8 or 9 weeks. And I wasn't even able to incorporate chiropractic until like my 3rd or 4th week, because I was just down for the count. And I still have to get up every day and work. Because if I don't work, I lose a day's pay. So regardless, I have to get up and work. So my pain events sometimes last months, weeks, and sometimes they've lasted years. I've had one event last me 10 years. I'll really quickly putting my two of my daughters to bed when they were little babies, like 5 and 6, 4 or 5, somewhere in that area. I'm playing with them, I'm tickling them, and they're like, no, daddy, no, daddy. And of course, feet are kicking up in the air. And at the right time, the sun, the moon, and the stars are all lined up together. And here comes a little foot, and here comes a hand and a thumb. And the collision was probably at about a 40 or 50 mile an hour impact. It hit me so hard, I actually wobbled and saw stars, and the pain, it was like I had something I'd never experienced in such a small, little, compact area in my body. And that injury lasted 10 years. I didn't have CBD then. All I had was ice, sometimes Tylenol, sometimes Tylenol. And being a hyperactive person, I had to go and find some other way to deal with doing something because I'd lost the use of my left hand, and I'm left-handed. So I have here on the right the McGill Pain Index. And this was developed in the 70s to kind of give people an idea what a person's pain level really looks like and where that is. And if you can see that here on your right-hand side, acute pain is quick, it's an injury, and it can last a short or long time. Chronic pain can last a fairly long period of time. High impact chronic pain can last a really long period of time. And then you have CRPS, which is a devastating pain illness, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So look at this scale and find out, okay, where are you? Where are you on this scale? If you can picture where you are, what can you do or what can you incorporate into your life to help you? If you're at a 30, how can we get you down to a 25? Because a 25 might mean, okay, well, I've got some mobility in my shoulder that I didn't have before. Man, it hurts like hell. Maybe you're at a 25 and we can get you down lower. It's all about fighting and finding where you are, and then where can we take you down from there. So now I want to talk to you about the endocannabinoid system. Now, I told you before, I'm not a doctor. So I look at this medical description of the endocannabinoid system, right? And we see on one column here, we talk about receptors, CB1, CB2 receptors. And on the right-hand column, we look at this and we see, okay, these are locations of receptors. But I'm just a Joe Schmo on the side of the street who's doing the best I can to make my wage so I can take care of my wife and my children and cover my mortgage. I don't even have a clue what this is. What does all this stuff mean to me? All I know is I go to work every day and my knees hurt, and there's nothing I can do about it. All I know is I have shoulder pain, and I hear about CBD, but it doesn't help me. What do I do? That doesn't help. So I'm just a Joe, and I look at this, and it's like, okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. So let me simplify that for people, because people who are not in the medical field can't associate these things and put a point A to point B to a point C to understand, okay, put these things in relation. Oh, because the endocannabinoid system is so new. It's only 30 to 35 years that we've discovered it and started really researching it. That we, the people, know nothing because we've legislated it out of our hands. But let me not go there. So let me try and simplify the endocannabinoid system for you. Dr. David Allen, he's a retired cardiac surgeon, and he's a member of the International Cannabinoid Research Society. He's a research scientist that looks at cannabinoids that come out of the cannabis plant and the hemp plant. This is what he has to say about the endocannabinoid system and why this thing is so important. Basically, the endocannabinoid system is responsible for homeostasis. Most people don't understand what that really means, but it's the body's ability to maintain itself and function in a proper environment. So it's critically important that doctors in the future understand this control mechanism. We're finding out that the manipulation of the endocannabinoid system will control diabetes. It controls cancer. It controls whether you can survive a heart attack or a stroke. So this is critically important for doctors to understand this new science. And this is where it brings everything together that makes it so important. The discovery of the endocannabinoid system is the single most important medical scientific discovery ever, and will save more lives than the discovery and application of sterile surgical technique. I'm a heart surgeon saying that. So more people will be saved by manipulation of the endocannabinoid system than are currently saved by surgery. That blows me away when I see things like that. To understand that this thing is so important. So, okay, so how do we make that so that you can understand what it looks like? I will show you in a few moments how to view the endocannabinoid system in such a way that that image that I show you of all the dots all over the human body will then make sense. So let me move on here real quick. So, can CBD reduce pain? The quick and short of it is the answer is yes. Because your body has that thing that Dr. Allen was talking about. And it manipulates everything that goes on in your body. And it's the endocannabinoid system. So endo, if you don't know, means internal, inside us, endogenous. Cannabinoid meaning a chemical molecule that's released from your brain. So then we've got two plants that have similar cannabinoids. The big ones that everybody knows is THC and CBD. Everybody knows about THC. It's been studied since it's been illegal. And then we have CBD, which nobody's really taken a look at until the last probably 10 or 15 years. I mean, really looking at it and using it as a medication for all people. So you take that cannabinoid, you enter it into the body, and what happens? It makes little things happen, and it makes the body come back to life, and it makes the body do things and perform certain functions. So, can CBD help reduce pain? Let's see what doctors have to say. As soon as it loads. Okay, here we go. So, Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN, who I've watched for many years, I remember his stance on cannabis. He was he was completely against cannabis in any form and did not like it. And here is a letter that he just posted, I think just 3 years ago on his website. Dear Honorable Jeff Sessions, I feel obligated to share the results of my 5-year-long investigation into the medical benefits of the cannabis plant. Before I started this worldwide in-depth investigation, I was not particularly impressed by the results of medical marijuana research. But a few years later, as I started to dedicate time with patients and scientists in various countries, I came to a different conclusion. The consensus is clear. Cannabis can effectively treat pain. Going on, there is a growing body of evidence to suggest that cannabinoids are beneficial for a range of clinical conditions, including pain and inflammation. I don't think that we have that many good drugs for pain, and we know that CBD has fewer side effects than opioids. And then this is one of my favorites. Cannabis appears to be an effective pain management tool with few negative side effects. The observed decrease in opiate usage among patients in cannabis therapy was the study's most striking finding. Again, 91% of survey respondents reported that they decreased the amount of opiates they were taking or eliminated them altogether. Think about that for a moment. These are studies that are showing these cannabis plants are having a huge impact on pain. So, let's talk about pain. I've kind of summarized pain down into 4 parts. Acute. Acute pain basically means you've been in an accident. You fell off a skateboard, you broke an arm, you broke a leg, you did something, but the injury is going to last you 6, 12 weeks, and you're going to heal fairly quickly. Chronic pain is a pain where you have an injury or you have an injury or a pain-related illness that creates some form of pains within your body, and it subsists. It just stays on forever. It persists. It just hangs on and doesn't go away. And no matter what you do, it just keeps hanging on and hanging on. That's chronic pain. The next one is high impact chronic pain. And I've been here many times. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention defines high impact chronic pain as pain that impacts one's life in such a way that it limits their life and work activities. That's me. I've been there many times. I've been above that scale and right at that scale. And then the final one is CRPS. CRPS pain is, let me summarize it like this. Most people call it the burning limb syndrome. I want you to see this picture of a baseball pitcher who's been out pitching the whole game, and now he's in the room. He's got his elbow dipped inside a great big 3-gallon can of ice, and he's just icing it down, right? I want you to flip that. And now I want you to see that now it's not ice, but it could be rocket fuel already lit. It could be any one of your limbs, whether you like it or not, it's submerged. And you're there. And there's no escape. No matter what you do, there's nothing you can do. After a year or two, you kind of think, well, okay, well, I can tolerate life a little bit. Maybe I can get up, I can move a few feet, I can do something. And you think, okay, well, maybe I can outlive this thing. Until the man behind the curtain pulls away the curtain and shows you the pipeline that has a lifelong fluid of rocket fuel. There is no respite from this, and for some, it's even worse. And wherever you fall in there, there are ways to at least try and fight your way and battle pain. So, why is CBD important? Because it's anti-inflammatory. It's made from a plant. It's not man-made, and it reduces pain. I am a living witness. In fact, I have someone online who is also beginning a company who's manufacturing some CBD products. And I actually had a chance to try some, and it's actually good. CBD does help reduce pain because when the inflammation goes down, blood gets in, it reduces pain. So here's how I want you to see the endocannabinoid system. Look at this car. A car has systems, right? It's made various systems. It's got a cooling system, the braking system, the heating system, the electrical system. It's got all of these systems, right? And then this car has got a brain called a computer. It's got a battery called a heart. And then throughout all of the important things in this car, it has what are called sensors, right? So this car has all these various resources and beautiful things about it that turn it into a very luxurious way to travel. But it cannot travel if it doesn't have one thing. One thing is needed, and that's called the wiring harness. So this wiring harness, it attaches to the computer. the brain. It attaches to the battery, its heart. And then it attaches to all of the electrical items throughout the car so that they can run. And then it also attaches to sensors. Well, what do sensors do? The sensors tell you that the air in your tire is going down. It tells you that your oil is running low or you need to service the car. It tells you these various things, okay? So that's what these systems do, and put them all together and you've got this beautiful vehicle that will take you from A to B with the air conditioning running and the tires operating at the proper levels and the engine not overheating and the exhaust putting out the right amount of carbons and burning off the right amount of carbons and doing all these things. We'll flip that over. Let's take that wiring harness and lay it on your body. And we're going to connect it to the back of your head, your computer. We're going to connect it to your heart, your battery. And then we're going to connect it to all the various organs in your body and your skin, these things called CB receptors, CB1 and CB2 receptors. They're located all throughout the body. And between the brain and the receptors, it's a signaling system. But the brain now is connected to every part of your body. And your brain, now your brain has the greatest science lab on the face of the earth. And in that lab, it has the most fantastic scientists you will ever meet. And their sole job is to sit and monitor you every day of every minute of every day. For example, when you're out and running and you're pumping and you're pumping hard, right? You know what I mean? Your brain's releasing endorphins. When you're getting ready to lay down and go to sleep, it's releasing serotonin. Your brain is monitoring you and paying attention to you. And there's one molecule that I love. It's called anandamide. It's similar to another cannabinoid called THC. And so the scientists say it's the bliss cannabinoid. And here's what that means. Boy meets girl, or human meets human. It's like, oh my God. Oh, and just it's love at first sight, or it's like excitement, or it's romance. It's the excitement, it's the love, it's anandamide. It's like THC, but it doesn't have the, right? That's the cannabinoids being released into your body. That's your scientist paying attention to what's going on and releasing chemicals throughout your body. And then as they go out throughout your body, it performs and functions in certain ways, as Dr. Allen talked about and what some of the other doctors talked about. But when like CBD hits these areas of pain, and there are multiple ways to attack that pain. But now you see you've got this system laid out to your body, and it's talking back and forth to your brain everywhere. It's all throughout your organs, through your muscles, in your skin tissue. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you all of the medical things, but I can take and bridge the gap and give you enough information so that you can understand the picture. That system, just like that car system, is how the brain functions with the heart and the rest of your body and that endocannabinoid system. And then those receptors, think of a receptor like a horn turned upside down, and just think of pouring things in it. It's a receptor, it receives proteins, it receives things, and it modulates and it signals and it does things. Now, I'm not going to go into all of those things. I'll let doctors explain that. But you have the most incredible system that modulates and tweaks and works on you and your mood and your body every day. So now, when we come back to this particular image, for me, when I look at this and I look at the body, now I see, okay, so it's in like a wiring harness of a car that connects everything to like the CB receptors, in a sense, like sensors of a car. Now, they're not the same. I'm not saying that. But I want you to see the gist of the layout so that you can see how it applies to your body. Now, when you see that, the next step is to start manipulating and figuring out what works for you. So that's really all I wanted to share to show how to see the endocannabinoid system. And I want to open it up for questions. I want to open it up for Carly to share a little bit Let me see. Carly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
So Carly has an incredible story, and she can tell you about the battle and about using CBD and cannabinoids to fight pain. So tell us a little bit, Carly, if you would.
Okay, I'm gonna start my webcam here so you guys can see me. Hi guys.
Hey, all
So
right.
thank you so much for being here and hearing this information. It's so important. I was diagnosed with a disorder, complex regional pain syndrome. That's CRPS. It was in 2008. I had a snowboarding injury where I sprained 3 ligaments, bruised 2 bones, and fractured my heel, all on my left foot. And instead of getting better, I slowly got worse. I was in a walking cast, and my leg started to atrophy. And over a few months of physical therapy, I was seeing like really really big changes in like the size of the left leg versus the right leg, and my hair like growth started changing, and my leg looked like red and purple and white and splotchy all over, and it just like the pain just turned into this burning, like really sharp, very on the surface but then also very deep. um, and it was really weird. I didn't understand what was going on, so I brought it up to my physical therapist, and she had me go see this specialist. And I was very very lucky because the first doctor that I was presented with actually identified that I had complex regional pain syndrome and sent me straight to a CRPS specialist who had been treating people for like 13 years. Most patients are misdiagnosed or see 5 different doctors before they ever even get a correct diagnosis. I recently last year met a guy who went 30 years having CRPS without being correctly diagnosed. So I was very blessed to be diagnosed as fast as I was. But with CRPS, if you can be diagnosed even quicker than I was, they actually have a chance to reverse it. So
Wow.
yeah, they do. They go in and they do an injection into your back. It's a spinal block, and that for some people, if it's close enough to the injury and development of the CRPS, within months, that can keep them from this lifelong trajectory that happens. But for people who can't get in that fast, like I had the spinal block, and it was effective in relieving my pain, but only for like 2 or 3 days, and I can't go back in and have an injection into my back every 2 or 3 days. I was 20 years old when this was all happening, and it was just really tough. But like I said, I was blessed to be sent to a great doctor, and she explained to me my options. We tried a lot of different like medications. They try a lot of tricyclic antidepressants and a lot of like psychiatric medications at really really high levels to try to treat the pain, and they have a variety of side effects. They threw all sorts of different opiates at it, and I knew that that wasn't working for me. The psychiatric medications were making me feel like I had like memory loss or Alzheimer's, and I was getting ready to transfer into my junior year from my community college to my university here at Cal State Northridge. And so I like these just weren't options for me. None of these medications were working for me. And they gave me an option to get a spinal cord stimulator at that time. So I
Oh
have a
yeah.
battery of wires that go into my back, and it uses electrical impulses to help block
I
out
think
some
I
of my
remember.
yeah.
I think I
I'm
remember.
bionic woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a gate. It blocks some of the nerves because my nerves are constantly misfiring. Um, so that was a really good option for me. But then, a friend I had to wait like until I think it was August, and I had to wait all the way until October till I could get in for surgery. And in the meantime, I had to start school, and I was feeling awful, and I didn't know what to do, and I knew I couldn't take those medications. And a friend suggested to me, I lived in California, they suggested I go get a medical marijuana recommendation. And I went and I had a doctor's visit and got my prescription, and that was what got me through those first couple months even the variety of cannabinoids that I was able to ingest, including CBD, because, you know, with CRPS, it's pain and inflammation. I know you speak a lot about pain, but CBD also is very, very good for inflammation. It's huge. I know you said that too, yeah. But it's incredible, like how much it can help with inflammation and with pain. It's not a cure-all, end-all, be-all, like you said, but it takes the edge off of things, take things down to a manageable level. So I was doing really well, and you know, I graduated college and was working, and I got in a car accident in 2013, and it spread my CRPS up both my legs, into my right hip, into my back, and within a week, well, within 2 days, I was using a walker to get around, and within a week, I needed a wheelchair. Um, and that was 7 years ago. And I do believe that I'm on my way to working myself back out of my wheelchair, and I have a lot of mobility at home, and I use my walker, you know, in the house at home. But 4 years of that time, essentially, I was bedridden, because the pain that I was experiencing was so intense and so all over, that I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't really leave my room. We had to move back in with my parents. Um, I spent a lot of time in bed playing video games, and a lot of people think video games are these awful things, but that was my way to connect with the world, for those 4 years. Gave me the ability to keep my mind sharp and to be distracted from the pain, and also to talk to people, to connect with people, and to socialize. Um, but being able to really get on a regular regimen, of not just CBD, but a variety of cannabinoids, um, has definitely has definitely changed my life. So I want to put up, my slide real quick. Let me see how I do this.
Let's see. Maybe I need to. There you go. Okay.
There we go. Okay. So before cannabis, my pharmaceutical regimen was, I had liquid morphine for breakthrough pain, because that I couldn't be running to the emergency room every single time to get a shot of Dilaudid. When I would have what you call a pain event, I would call a flare.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's this sudden intense breakthrough pain that happens, and it's very acute, and it's not, like, you know, controllable, without something really, really heavy. I was on methadone 3 times a day, baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, 4 times a day, 800 milligrams ibuprofen, try to help control the inflammation, Xanax as needed, Klonopin, for sleep and to calm down my nervous system, Colace, because all of these medications back up your system, and Danastron, because the opiates made me feel like nauseous, because they made me feel high, and Prozac, because I was really depressed and, constantly anxious. When you're trapped in feeling pain all the time, and it's not something that you can get away from, it doesn't just affect you physically, it, affects you mentally as well, a lot. Um, and so there's two different sides of that there, for sure. And before cannabis, you know, I was experiencing pain levels of 7 to 10 plus. I was bedridden, constantly nauseous and constipated, and I really had no quality of life. I felt that it was, I don't know, difficult for people to take care of me. It just didn't really make sense. It was it was hard. Then cannabis came, and it brought just a drastic change in my quality of life. Really being on a regimen of cannabis, changed things for me. So I take cannabis from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I use a lot of different types of cannabinoids to help my symptoms, including CBD, which is cannabidiol. I use THC, I use CBN and CBG. There's a lot of different things in this plant. It's really amazing, what you can get from it. And it's interesting because a lot of people, even my sister, would be like, well, if you're doing this all day, like taking these things all day, like aren't you just constantly high? And I was like, no. because it just brings me back to a base level. Like I'm not getting high off the cannabis I'm taking because I'm in so much pain and my system is so out
being
of
used for
whack
a
that it's
different
leveling me
purpose.
out.
It's being used for a
Hmm?
different purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very, very medical, you know. Because it's able to level out my system. And I think because how you so showed, the endocannabinoid system is connected to every single part of your body, allowing all of that to communicate more effectively. You know, it obviously is really, really helping. I'm not a doctor either, but I know from experience that these things calm down the feelings that I'm having in my body, and you know, they take the edge off of it. They make them more tolerable. All those prescriptions that I was on made me feel high, like
Yeah, that's
very
real.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And gross. And like it just, it that also like taking those pills and feeling that way, like it contributes to like your mental state going down and down. So cannabis and CBD is just, it was a very freeing thing for me. Um,
Yeah.
I
Here we go. This is good. Yeah.
I never thought that I was going to have this life. I was forgiven for $70,000 worth of school loans because the doctors and the government said that I would never be able to like get out of bed again. I have a master's in psychology, and I thought I was never going to be able to do anything other than sit in my bed and play video games. But I started ketamine infusions about 3 years ago at Kaiser in Sacramento, and really got on a regiment of um, I really got on a regimen of using cannabinoids in a variety of different ways. Kind of like, I love your car analogy because I have a car analogy.
Right.
I
Okay.
always tell I always tell people that keeping my level of cannabinoids in my system like high, it's like keeping oil in a car.
Right.
So in order for my body to
Exactly.
function efficiently, I got to keep that oil in my car.
Right.
So I love your analogy. That was so fun to watch that and get to hear that. That was great. But yeah, so now, you know, I'm president and co-founder of Cannabis Foundation. Um, People who live with CRPS and people who live with pain often feel hopeless about it. They feel like there's nothing that they can do, you know, other than these pills. And when you don't want to take those pills, like you're sort of trapped in just experiencing all of these uncomfortable sensations. Um, and it's just no place to have to be. And CBD can really, really help. And um, it's incredible. So now, you know, through Canacrypts, we're trying to educate people. We're trying to let them know of all of the different products that are out there and the different ways that this plant can be turned into tinctures and capsules and suppositories and edibles and concentrates and rubs and salves. I mean, it's incredible all of the different things that it can be turned into and the ways that you can use it and the ways it can benefit your body. It's CBD is kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like a vitamin. It seems like a vitamin to me. I feel like we should all just be using more of it so that we can have better functioning. But like you said, depending on your medications, you really have to check with your doctor. So that's an important thing.
Well,
But
let me
yeah,
interrupt
so
you real quick. Let me say one thing real quick. What's amazing about cannabinoids and
mm,
endocannabinoids is that there are two plants that have similar cannabinoids that our body manufactures, that the brain manufactures. And they're just,
mhm,
it's amazing. But the plant is taboo. We say no, we can't have that, but we can have potatoes because we can make our vodka, and we can have our cactus, we can have our tequila, and we can have
mhm.
our grapes for our wine, but we can't have the cannabinoids that the human body needs. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe needs. So anyway, I'm sorry, I wanted to share that.
No, and somebody told me something really interesting the other day, and they said, you know, a long time ago, there was so much hemp grown in the United States that the cows would feed on hemp.
Yes,
Our
yes.
cows don't feed on hemp anymore, and they were saying that they think that our endocannabinoid systems are very lacking now because we're not getting that through the meat that we are
Right,
consuming. And back in the day, you would consume beef. That beef would consume the hemp. The cannabinoids would go through their system, and they pass them on to you. So I thought that
right.
was really, really, really interesting. um, yeah, it's incredible the variety of different things that cannabis and cannabinoids can help with. I know you talked about pain, and I'm talking about CRPS, but the Compassion Co. This is another thing that I'm a part of. I'm the director of compassionate care for the Compassion Co. And we in California are seeking to just help connect patients with donations of cannabinoid medicines that they need, because oftentimes patients are just, their hands are tied when it comes to finances. You're on a fixed income and you just can't afford the products that you need to live healthily. So we partner with people like Genevieve's Dream. This is Mike and Genevieve. They have an amazing story. Mike's daughter Genevieve has severe autism, OCD, and epilepsy. And he helps her and many other families with access and education on cannabinoid treatments. And yeah, she's gained back the ability to do things like feed herself or dress and bathe herself because of the hemp-derived cannabinoid treatments that she's been on. And it's really, really amazing. Oh my gosh, Mike is a friend of his. That's amazing. That's so cool. They're an incredible family. And it's a privilege and an honor to be able to be alongside of them and helping, spread their message and just show people like how many different things that CBD and these different cannabinoids can help with, because they come from, you don't have to have a cannabis plant to get all of these cannabinoids. You can get all of them from the hemp plant as well. And then when they go into the lab and they make these different products that are medicines that help people, that's what's really important. So they have Genevieve's Dream Inc., and we are working with them to help raise awareness about kids with disabilities and the benefits cannabis and cannabinoids can hold for them. And they have something called the Carousel Challenge. So check that out on, I think it's Carousel Challenge on Instagram. Yeah, if you can go take a picture of the carousel and tag them, that would be really cool. But yeah, we're here to help. So we're here to answer questions. We're here to give people hope. We're here to really change the narrative for people, because you start to paint this picture that this is what my life is going to be, and then you start to believe it, and you don't need to. You need to change that narrative for yourself. So you need to start telling yourself that there's things that can bring you hope back. There are things that can bring back your quality of life, and really believe it, and then try these amazing products that have been put on this earth for us to use. We would be crazy not to use them.
Amen to that. Right? I mean, amen to that. Nice. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, that was the end.
Okay, so let me see. Jim, I have a friend, Jim. He's also there in California, in Huntington Beach. And so I got a ton of questions. Let's see. Do you want to say? Let me see if he. I think he doesn't have a camera, but he might be able to. Let's see. Well, I don't know if he can. Jim, if you can hear me in a moment, you may be able to start talking. Here, so let me bring this down now. So let's answer some questions. I saw a bunch of questions kept popping up. So like, where can I get CBD? What should I look for when purchasing? How much should I take? How do I talk to my doctor? Is there a CBD for Dummies book anywhere? All right, well, let's see. How much should I take? All right, so Carly, you want to answer that? How do you talk to your doctor about this?
I honestly, even living here in California, I have a hard time because Kaiser, when I go in and I try to talk to my doctor about this, a lot of them don't they don't have the education. They don't have the ability to answer the questions that I'm trying to ask. So I think that part of this is that as we ask our doctors these questions, it's going to then in turn challenge them to go further their knowledge about these things that are important to their patients. So I think it's very important to ask those questions.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Let me see if Jim does not have an active mic. Oh, Jim, darn. I was hoping Jim would be able to talk. Okay, let me see. Let me see some more questions here. What should I look out for when purchasing? What should I look out for? Look out for the snake oil salesman.
You
What
go
should you look out
into great
for?
detail about this in your book.
So here's the thing. For those of you that signed up, you should have gotten an email. And in the email, there should have been the CBD buyer's checklist. And it's pretty comprehensive. And it'll get even more comprehensive as time goes on. But basically, it covers reading labels on buying CBD products. It covers reading a label. Excuse me. It covers the website when you are on the website and you're looking at products. So now you're looking at labels, you're looking at the products, and then it tells you how to look for the testing results and what to look for in the testing results. So get that, because that's important. It will tell you exactly how to weed out the snake oil salesman. And you can download I can't speak. I'm speaking so fast. My brain is going. You can download that off my website, but you should have gotten that already.
Yeah,
So
the COA. Look
the
for
COA,
COA,
you want to
Certificate
add
of
anything to that?
Analysis. Yeah, certificate of analysis. Any good product will have a certificate of analysis. Do not ever buy a product that does not have a certificate of analysis. You should be able to actually look and see that your hemp product comes from something that has no pesticides, has passed all of the different things that they screen for, the different microbials and all of that through the lab testing that they do. So a certificate of analysis is very, very important. And if a company doesn't have one just like plainly posted, like always like reach out to them and just straight up ask for it, because they should be able to provide you with that. And anything,
Yeah.
I try to do anything that's like American grown. Like if I'm going up to a new CBD company and I'm wanting to know like how their stuff is, I want to know that that hemp is American grown, because anything overseas, like again, it can have pests. Like that stuff gets sprayed with pesticides. Lots of stuff in China gets sprayed with pesticides. It's not good quality, and you don't want to be putting chemicals in your body while you're trying to put,
Right.
good things into your body at the same time. So I really like, I don't know, I like companies that started because these people made a product because somebody needed it,
Out of their own need.
and then they made this and now it helped that person and now they want to help other people. Like those are the ones that usually work the best.
Those are the best, right? Because they're doing it for a child, or they're doing it for a family member or somebody
Yeah.
they love. So they're trying to make the best stuff.
Yes. And there's
But
so much in this market of
but
people just trying to make money.
that little bottle at the gas station on Route 66 down in the middle of New Mexico, that it's such a beautiful looking bottle. Why not that one? I know I say that
Because you have no idea what the carrier oil is. Like
right.
people who are probably using like gosh, what is it? I can't even think of what the bad oil you would use is. But you need to use like hemp oil. Hemp oil is like the one of the best things that you could put it into. Some people use MCT oil. There's other carriers, but it's important. There's certain carrier oils that can get CBD actually further into your body than other oils. So
Right.
depending on what type of carrier oil your brand is using will make a difference on how much your body can actually use the CBD that's in that product.
Right.
A lot of companies can be very misleading about labeling as far as like the strength of the product and stuff like that as well. So reading labels is really, really important.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I'm learning now that there are so many tricks to labeling. And we've had decades of coming up with these tricks, and the cannabis industry is adopting them. And 2/3 of what you buy on the shelves right now are just absolute junk. So
Yeah.
yeah, pay
Well,
attention.
and then you go and you spend $60 on a product and it doesn't work, and then you think that CBD doesn't work. And no, it's not that CBD doesn't work, is that you got a bad one.
Right. Or it was old, or it was
Yeah.
rancid, uh, or it was expired, or it was poorly manufactured, or there just was no CBD in it. You know, there are just so many things. And all right, well, let's see what other questions we have up here. So that was what should I look for? How much should I take? Okay, that's every single person's dilemma on the face of the planet. Is how much do I take? Well, it depends on the level of pain, and as long as you're not on prescribed medications and you're not having an allergic reaction or a bad reaction to it, if those two things aren't screwing up your life, then, you know, start small and work your way up there. You know, you'd be surprised how much even 5 milligrams will impact your body. You know, so you wanted to say something? I can see
Yeah, well,
you're say something.
I just think that's one of the amazing things about this plant is that we are so out of touch with our own bodies, and it really encourages you to have to like, okay, try this. Okay, now let me get in touch. Let me tune in. Let me see like what effect is that having?
Right.
And it's like reconnecting you back with yourself, which I think is really, really important to be able to tune into yourself in that way. And yeah, it is all about self-exploration. Like Jim said, everybody's body is different. We're all made up differently, and what works for one person may not work for another person. And so, yeah, it all is about just like this experimentation. But there is some interesting stuff being worked on right now. There's a test that they're trying to do like perfect dosage of CBD would that my the owner of the Compassion Co, one of my co-owner, and then also the owner of Persepolis that I'm with, and the co-founder of CRPS Foundation, Ali Ganji, he's working with a company in Canada who's actually doing that. It's interesting.
Losing you. We're losing you.
Oh no.
We're losing you. There you go. Okay.
I froze for a second.
Yeah, we got up to Ollie, but
oh yeah, he's working with a company that's doing some of that, some genetic testing on what your proper cannabinoid dosage should be. So that's pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I advocate to everybody who's takes CBD to have a medical journal, and I recommend, like in the book, I talk about journaling everything. So you've got, I mean, where do you find yourself on the pain scale? Okay, what have you done? And you should have all your notes, because that book, it's like a doctor. So I'm going to use a simple analogy. Doctor says take 2 aspirin in the morning, or take 2 aspirin and call him in the morning. So you call him in the morning, he says, well, how do you feel? Well, I still hurt. Okay, take a little more or take a little less. I mean, that's just a simple analogy. You know,
right.
You can measure where you are and pay attention to where you are, and then manipulate from there, because that's why doctors are so good at what they do. You look at your file and it's that big of everything you've ever done in not your life, but that's why they're so good, because they've kept track of everything. So you need to do the same thing for you. You need to keep your own medical journal. Okay, are you taking 5 milligrams today? Okay, what did you take? What did you feel? Okay, do you still have the same pain? Okay, maybe we try it twice a day. Okay, you keep track of what you're doing, and you're going to pay attention, and pretty soon you're going to discover things. You're going to find out what works. But then on top of that, we can also attack pain from multiple fronts. So orally, you can down the chute, you can do under your tongue. You can inhale either smoke or vape. You can rub it on. You can use suppositories. There are just so many different avenues that you can attack your pain, and you can do multiple attacks at the same time. Mm-hmm. That's what's great about having multiple products. I wish we had California stuff here in Texas, but that's what I recommend how to start.
Definitely, we need federal laws to wake up and realize how much our country needs this to heal.
Okay, so let's see. We're at an hour, just over an hour. So let me see. Let me ask any more questions. Okay, where can I find information? Is there a CBD for Dummies book? Okay, so there are books on Amazon that you can purchase. There are some good books up there. You just have to go and do your own due diligence. Where can you find information? Oh gosh, there's a plethora of places to go. Normal, you got some places that normal is
I have a great
MOR.
suggestion.
Go
I
ahead.
mean, there's a book called Ways to Manage Your 7 Ways to Manage Your Pain with CBD.
CBD.
Isn't there?
There is, yes. Thank you.
Because that's a really great resource if you want to learn.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay, that is another one. Okay. Oh, that must have been somebody set me up. I'm gonna have to go connect that person. Yeah, that was good. Okay, thank you. But there are good books out there. Where can I find? Oh my gosh, how should I talk? Do you private consulting? Okay, so I have a question here. Do either of you do private consulting? Do you do any private consulting?
We do. We talk to
You do.
people and we work with people. We do all sorts of stuff with the Compassion Co, with Persepolis, and with Cannacrips. So
Okay.
just reach out and get in touch, and we can talk and see what your needs are, and see, we've made a lot of connections with a lot of people, and we're trying to make connections and, branch out into other states. So hopefully we can connect people with the people that they need as well.
Nice. Okay. So, yeah, that's awesome. All right, let me see. What else can we, there's a ton of them. I do private consulting. My partner and I, we do consult, but due to coronavirus, it seems like it's changed the world. So that's why I'm coming online, so I can kind of teach people that way. But we do consulting. We hang, we used to hang with a lot of people in Los Angeles and would educate and teach how to, use the resources such as smoking or vaping, or, how to find good quality plant, or how to go to your dispensary. And we've done dispensary tours, and you teach people, okay, this is what to do. This is what you do. This is where you look for. This is how you communicate. These are how the questions you ask. So I do. Coronavirus has changed the world, so I don't know what the future looks like.
The future looks like this.
Yes, with love. Amen.
You're consulting through a screen now.
Amen.
But yeah, somebody mentioned Green Flower. They also mentioned Holistic Cannabis Academy and Relief. What was it? Relief RX. RX Leaf is a good website. But Green Flower, they have a ton of courses. They have a lot of stuff. If you want to learn about cannabis, they have a great catalog. I mean, so much information. It's a really good place to start if somebody wants like all of the basics. And they have more advanced topics in some areas as well.
There is, if you just Google CBD 101, you'll find a plethora of stuff. Now, pay attention to what you're learning. Make sure you're looking for good resources. If you can find information from medical websites, I mean, legit medical websites, that's probably a good place to start. It's not easy to go from the medically written word and then bring it to the normal written word. The chasm is like, and I'm trying to bridge that. I'm trying to take the medical word and turn it into understandable words, so that we, the people, the normal people who are not highly educated, can figure this stuff out. So
I think your book does a really good job of doing that. You cite so many different studies, so I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Okay, so do you do private consulting webinars? How often will you have these webinars? I would like to have my family members learn more. Okay, so I'm going to try and do them at least every 2 weeks. Now that this one's done, this one will save, and I'll save the replay, and then I'll worry about the next one.
Share the replay with your family.
Yeah, there will be a replay of this, and the next one it's always going to be about pain, managing pain, and I'm working on my next ideas for the next one. So Carly's in Southern California. I have a friend, Jim, who's out there in Southern California. They're both great resources. I wish I could get Jim on to share, but next time. But I'm going to try and do these every 2 weeks, and if I can come up with enough material and have the time to put it together, I'd like to do it weekly. you know, and I can have resources like Harley and other people on to share their stories and stuff like that. So any other questions? Anybody have any last thing they want to share? Let me see. Let me take through chat. Everybody's chatting and there's like my green flower. Okay. Hey, dosing is so individual. MDs I've talked to, experts, each person should titrate, go low, and then that's right, absolutely. So one of the Dave Merrick, I hope I'm saying that right, and good name, David. So back on the dosing issue, because there's not a one size fit all. He says a great point here. I've talked to experts in medical cannabis. Each person should titrate, which means for their own selves. Go slow, go low, then go up where it is working, then back off a wee bit. Then you can find the right dose for you. Also, it depends on the condition of your ECS, that's your endocannabinoid system. Some need to get it working again. I do like full spectrum with MCT oil. Okay. Some are also enjoying a higher level of CBG in it. Okay. Thank you, Dave. That's
CBD is amazing.
yeah.
CBG is being shown to be like 5 times as strong as CBD.
Yeah,
And I don't think it has the same effects on medications or something.
Oh, really?
That's one yeah, you should do some more research into that.
You see, look, for 70 years, for greed, essentially it was greed. We legislated that these two plants out of the hands of man. And look at what it can do, and look at all of the things it can do. It blows me away. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for taking time to come out. Carly, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody, I'll email you when the replay is up. I'm going to post it up on the website and probably throw it up on Facebook. And you guys have a great weekend. I hope this was of value to you. I appreciate your time, and you guys have a great evening.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.